What is up? So this season I reached Master 1 and dual level 20 with Mannadium, which is one of my favorite decks and the one that I topped YCS Vancouver with earlier this year in the TCG. So I was very excited for the deck to come to Master Duel. It's not anywhere near full power at the moment because we don't have Amritara, we don't have SP Little Knight, we don't have Trisukta, and a couple other cards that make this deck way better. So right now it's in a pretty weak state relative to how it will be in the future, but it's still playable and you can still definitely get Master 1 with it, and it's still fun to play. So in this video I'll be showing off two different versions of the deck. The first is the standard Kashtira Scareclaw Mannadium deck, which plays, like it says in the name, the Kashtira engine, which helps you get to the Scareclaw engine, and then also obviously the Mannadium. Scareclaw is played in every version of the deck. It's crucial to everything, and you have to play it. There's really no pure Mannadium. It's always like Scareclaw Mannadium. Now the other version of the deck is what I played in the Duelist Cup because it was a lot better with the types of decks that we were facing in the Duelist Cup. It's the Bestial version. So instead of playing the Kashtira package, you'll still play the Scareclaws, but you'll play Bestials instead of like Fenrir and the Scarecash. That version of the deck is a lot more fun, and it does have a higher ceiling, but it is worse against like metas where you don't have a lot of lights and darks, where you don't where the Bestials aren't super good. But I'll show both versions. And here we have the standard Kashtira Scareclaw Mannadium deck. This deck went through several iterations over the course of the season. This deck is very weak to Maxi compared to other ones, so I did end up putting the maximum outs to Maxi because that's like very important to being able to go first and even to go second. It's just stopping Maxi from resolving, which is annoying because I would like to be able to play more hand traps in those spaces, which is what I was doing earlier in the season, but I realized that if you get Maxi, it doesn't matter how many hand traps you have, you're still going to lose. So yeah, anyways, without that out of the way, we will get into the Mannadium engine. So we have Rhymeheart. So the Mannadium deck, one thing that it does, it's part of the Vsauce Starfrost lore, along with Tearlaments and Kashtira and Scareclaw. And this one is the Synchro version. So like Kashtira is the Xyz version, Scareclaw is the Link version, and the Tearlaments, which I'm not playing any tier cards in this deck, but Tearlaments is the fusion version of this deck. And so Rhymeheart is the main starter, essentially, of the archetype. Right now, he's not a one-card combo because, like I mentioned before, we don't have Trisukta and Amritara, which will make the deck a million times better. It's really hard to overstate how much better the deck will be, but right now, so really you need to see him in combination with other cards like Meek. But basically, on summon, he searches a Mannadium spell or trap, or Mannadium card, sorry. Usually you're going to search a Mannadium spell or trap, but sometimes you're going to search Meek, which is helpful. And the other gimmick with this archetype is that it mentions monsters with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. So what that's referring to is usually Rhymeheart, Rykheart, then you have Riseheart, and then Rhinoheart. I think I accidentally disenchanted mine, but yeah, Rhinoheart. So these are like the four warriors with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. There are a couple other monsters in the game, funny enough, that have that stat line, but they're not related to this archetype at all, so you could technically play them, but they're horrible, so don't do that. But yeah, typically you're going to be using these two because they are the best ones for the Mannadium archetype. Yeah, so this 1500 attack and 2100 defense thing, it seems kind of weird, but it does have kind of a significant effect on how you do your plays. Because like for Meek, which is one of the tuners that we play, it's the best tuner by far. You need to have a monster with Vsauce Starfrost or a monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense to special summon it from hand. It's just kind of a lore thing, I guess. Yeah, so Meek is the tuner that we play. There are a couple other Mannadium tuners. So there's Torrid and Fearless. Fearless is just garbage. Don't play this card. Torrid is not very good either, in my opinion. You can play it as like another copy of Meek, but you'll realize when you play this card in your deck that there's really never any scenario where you want it in your deck. So Meek is just way better because it can change its level to 4. So when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon another Meek from deck, and then you can increase its level by 2. That is not once per turn. So you can, like, if 2 Meeks get popped, you can summon twice from deck, and then you can choose to make it level 4, which is extremely useful for facilitating combos and giving you more options. Fearless does just increases attack. It's really not good at all. There's no reason to play it. Yeah, so you have Rhymeheart and Meek, which are your main Mannadium monsters in the main deck. So as you can see, like with a level 4 non-tuner and a level 2 tuner, you can go into Synchro 6s, but if you modulate Meek to level 4, you can go into Synchro 8s, and that's what you'll see in the extra deck, which we'll get to later. We have Visa Starfrost. I mean, he's part of all of these archetypes. He's just kind of the key guy. He's mentioned on Vicious Astrolad, which makes him very important. You do want to see him every game. I honestly don't mind playing 3 of it, but I found the deck space to be pretty tight in Master Duel specifically, so it might be better to cut it down to 2 just for now. But yeah, you can target any monster you control with a different type and attribute, pop it, and then special summon him from hand. And he's a level 6 tuner. For the other Mannadium cards, we have Mannadium Imaginings. I would definitely play this card. So you reveal 1 Mannadium monster or Visa Starfrost in your hand, draw 2 cards, and place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. And then it has a graveyard effect that goes along with the gimmick. Like if you can target a 1521 monster you control and treat it as a tuner for the rest of this turn. That doesn't come up very much at the moment, but the first effect is very useful because the thing with Meek is it can only special summon itself another copy from deck. So if you draw one, you need to actually put it back, and this allows you to draw into more interruptions. If you get Max Seed, I'm usually just searching Imaginings, drawing 2 and putting 1 back, hopefully drawing into hand traps, because like I said, this deck is pretty weak to Max Seed. There's no way around it. You have 2 Mannadium Abscission. I think it's okay to play 3 of this as well, but like I said, the deck space is pretty tight. Target any monster you control. It doesn't even have to be a face-up monster. Pop it, and if you do add Peaceful Planet Calarium, which is the Mannadium field spell, or if you control the field spell already on the field, you can add a Mannadium spell trap instead. So you would add Imaginings. There's also other ones like Reframing, which I'm not playing at the moment because we don't have that support that lets you consistently search this card. So I wouldn't play it right now, but later on it becomes a very good card. And then the other graveyard effect is very strong as well. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Visa Starfrost, or 1 monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense from your hand. So it's pretty obvious why this is a very good card. Yeah, it is good. Then 3 Peaceful Planet Calarium. When it's activated, you can add a Mannadium monster or Visa Starfrost from your deck to your hand. Light monsters you control gain 100 attack for each tuner you control and in your graveyard. One thing you have to be careful about with this is that it actually boosts the attack of your Rhymeheart, which means it'll no longer be a monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. So you can't special summon Meek from hand, which is very stupid. I don't know if they did this intentionally. They probably did to make the deck a little more balanced, but you do have to be careful about if you have if you list like Ash on your opponent's turn and you use Calarium, then you're going to be boosting your Rhymeheart by 100 attack. So you won't be able to special this from hand unless you control like Vsauce or Rhyhart. So be careful with that. You can usually avoid it if you sequence your plays properly, but in some rare cases you might get screwed by it, and there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, you can usually avoid it. And then it has another effect. If a face-up tuner you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of them and special summon it. And the thing with this and Meek, that's pretty nice, is that it doesn't matter if they go to graveyard or if they're banished. So even if you get shifted, you can still, it doesn't specify that it has to go to graveyard for the revive effect. So you can target a banished one as well. And same with Meek, if it's destroyed, even if it's banished, you can still activate to special summon from deck. Okay, so that's the Mannadium engine in the main deck. So then the Scareclaw engine, which is just about as important as the Mannadium engine, is Rhyhart. So 2 Rhyhart. When he's normally special summoned, you can add a Scareclaw spell or trap from deck to your hand. You're going to be adding a rival in this deck. And then you can draw a card if if there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field. Another card that you can play is Twin Saw, but kind of like for framing, like you really never want to search this, and it's kind of a brick, so I wouldn't play it. It's more of a side deck card, but even then, it's not that great. Then for the other Scareclaw engines, you have Scareclaw Kashtira, which is also part of the Kashtira engine. I mean, it's 2 Fenrir and Scareclaw Kashtira. Makes the deck significantly better, and you don't just pass on nothing if you get Maxied. If you open Fenrir, it helps a lot. Scareclaw Kashtira can get you into your Scareclaw engine, because you can just link it off to make Lightheart. You have Arrival. Target 1 Scareclaw monster or Beast of Starfrost in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. This effect is not once per turn, by the way. And then the other effect is, if a Scareclaw link monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish it from graveyard instead. That effect is once per turn, but not the first effect, which is awesome. It's double revive potentially. So I would definitely play 2 of it. You're fine with opening 1, and yeah, it helps your grand game to have 2 of them in deck. You have 2 Primitive Planet Reichphobia. This card is searchable with just making Lightheart, so I don't see a need to play 3 of it. When it's activated, you can add Vsauce or a Scareclaw monster from deck to your hand. Then it reduces the attack of your opponent's and defense of your opponent's monsters. And then the other part, which makes this field spell really kind of strong, and it tests the skill of your opponent, because a lot of your opponents are just going to play into this. If there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. So most opponents are not going to play around this. They're going to be playing around like Lightning Storm and stuff, and just instinctively summoning their dudes in defense, which gives you a free pop with this card, which is awesome. Helps you out Floodgates and just a lot of problematic stuff. Forces out interruptions. It's great. And yeah, like I mentioned before, 2 Fenrir. You always want to see them. It makes your hands a lot better when you open Fenrir. So then for the non-engine, we have the Maxi Tax. Like I said, this deck is very weak to it, so you need to max out on these. Double call by 1 cross out, 2 talents, because a lot of people wait until main phase to use it, because they don't want to get hit with Gamma from something that other decks are playing. And then a lot of people are on like Droll and Nibiru as well on ladder, so cross out is helpful to have for those. This deck is pretty weak to Droll. That's one of its biggest weaknesses, definitely. Nib you can often play around or force out, but it's so nice to have as a cross-out target. Or at the very worst, something you can draw into with Maxi on your opponent's turn and then completely destroy them. And then 3 Imperm because it's Imperm, and it's very good. Oh yeah, also 1 Rhoda because it's another copy of Reichheart or Ramheart. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, double Vicious Astrolot. This card is actually broken, so it requires Visa Starfrost and a monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. So you don't fusion summon it with Polymerization, you actually contact fuse it, kind of like ABC Dragon Buster. So you banish these cards from a field and or a graveyard, which you can also use face down monsters, by the way, because it's a fusion summoning. It's just a thing you can do. It can't be destroyed by battle. If it's special summoned, you can target 1 other monster on the field, destroy it, and if you do, this gains attack equal to half of that monster's original attack or defense permanently. So one thing that's very cool about this is that it's not once per turn to summon, and even the pop effect is not once per turn. And the fact that it's a fusion and a level 8 makes it work really well with Cross Sheep and help you synchro climb, which you'll see in the combos. But yeah, this card is very good. Definitely play 2. I don't think you need 3, but 2 definitely is mandatory. 2 Lightheart. I would also play 2 of this, definitely. When it's link summoned, so you use the Scareclaw monster or Vsauce. And if it's link summoned, you can add Reichphobia. This effect is not once per turn, so you can summon 2 in the same turn and add Reichphobia twice, which gives you guaranteed follow-up, something that I like to do when possible. If you control Vsauce, you can special summon it from Grave, which is that effect is once per duel, but it helps you make additional material for Appaloosa or something like that. And also, when you use the graveyard effect to revive it, you can also link it off for the other Lightheart, because it says you can use 1 Scareclaw monster or 1 Visa Starfrost that's in the main monster zone. So you can actually use another copy of Lightheart. as long as it's in the main monster zone, which is cool. Some other important cards. Baron, this is a deck that can easily make Synchro 8s and 10s, so obviously we're playing Baron. Dispater, new released along with these cards in the latest pack. It's very strong, so it helps you combo and is also a boss monster. So you can target one of your banished light or dark monsters, special summon it to your field, and then it has a negate or destroy. So if you have a banished card, you can shuffle it into the deck to destroy your opponent's monster, or if you shuffle your opponent's card, it negates the effect. Yeah, it's pretty good. But you do need a non-tuner dragon monster, so it is a little harder to make in this version of the deck. In the Bestial version, it's a lot easier to make, but here you're usually going to make it with Excel Synchro. Speaking of which, we have Excel Synchro because it turns a Synchro 8 into a Synchro 10, which is awesome. We're playing Stardust Dragon along with it. Since people are playing Nibiru, you can use Excel's other effect, which can tag out into an unaffected Synchro 10. So with the Nibiru, it just does nothing, which is very good. And it's just generally good for going second. So then we have Tri-Edge Master. This card is kind of mid. You can, if you don't want to play this, because it's ultra rare, you can just play Charge Warrior, which is a Synchro 6. Sorry. There you go. Stardust Charge Warrior, you can play this. Tri-Edge is a little better because it's a light, but I mean, it just draws one, and yeah, it's it's just a draw one. There's not much to say about that. This card will be replaced when we get the future support. Here we have Cheng Ying. You can also play the Ice Jade Synchro 10. I like Cheng Ying personally because you can trigger. You have several ways to trigger it on your opponent's turn, and non-targeting banishes are very powerful, and it can just help push for game easily. Chaos Angel is extremely strong in this deck. You could easily make it with both lights and darks. Usually you're going to make it with Reichhardt and Vsauce, and then that's very hard for a lot of decks to deal with. You can banish a card and then it becomes unaffected by activated effects, and all of your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. If you can make it on turn 1, that's cool, but usually I will save it for turn 2 because it just helps to push for a game very easily. IP Masquerade, I barely ever made this card. It's definitely not mandatory in this deck. You can go without it. Cross Shape is mandatory though, because it does help with facilitating combos. Like I said, you summon Astrolabe, and you can get use of the effect to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard. Usually you're going to summon Meek, then you can just make a Synchro 10 like that. Sprite Elf is something that was not legal in the TCG when we had this deck legal, so it's cool to have in Master Duel, since you can just easily make it with Meek, and it just makes it a lot harder for your opponent to deal with your board. And if you do want to play IP, it does work well with it. Then Apo as well, which you can sometimes make. It's alright. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the card, but it is what it is. So next I'll just show you the Bestial version and some of the differences between that and this version. So here we have the Bestial version of the deck, which is what I use in the Duelist Cup, but you can also definitely use on ladder if you're in a meta where Bestials are just better. So, I mean, the non-engine is pretty similar, but you have fewer slots, so you can't really fit Called By and Crossout, which is definitely a weakness of it, but I mean, the Bestial package is very strong and does help this deck quite a bit. The 3 Lebellion, of course, to search. 1 Magnamut because it's limited, 1 Druis Worm, 1 Saronir, 1 Baldrake. You don't have to play a Baldrake, but you have quite a few Lights or Darks in this deck, which make it a pretty strong interruption, so I would play it. 2 Assault Synchron. So Assault Synchron has great synergy with this version of the deck because you have like Chaos Ruler, which is legal in Master Duel. You have Excel Synchro, which can tribute, and then basically it's a free special summon from hand at the cost of just 700 life points. It locks you into synchros while it's on the field, but that's perfectly fine. And then if you a face-up Dragon Synchro monster you control is tributed or banished, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then special summon one of them back to your field, which is really good. It doesn't even negate their effects or anything, just straight up just special summons them back, which gives you a lot of advantage. So Assault Synchron is pretty good. Even if you don't draw it, it's something that you can mill off of Chaos Ruler and still get value off of. And Braided Regain, speaking of value, this card gives you value every turn, once per turn when one of your lights or darks are banished. You can put it back and draw 1. And then if your opponent normal special summons, you could target a bestial monster in your graveyard and special summon it. This includes Dispater, by the way. So not just these guys. You can also summon back Dispater. It doesn't have any restriction preventing that, which is awesome. Aside from that, the Mannadium and Scareclaw engine are pretty much the same as the other version, because those are like the optimal ratios. In this version I'm playing 3 Vsauce, because I can, and because it's good. So yeah, extra deck. 2 Astrolite still mandatory. Tri-Edge, Excel Synchro, and regular Stardust Dragon. And then Chaos Ruler, which is very, very powerful. Should be banned, but it's not banned in Master Duel for some reason. You can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. When you synchro summoned, add a light or dark that was excavated to your hand, and then the rest get milled to graveyard. So having cards in graveyard is pretty good for this deck, because you just make Astral out if you have like Vsauce and one of these guys in grave. You can also get the graveyard effect of Assault Synchron. Getting Lobelion in grave means you can just tribute the Chaos Ruler to summon it and then get regained. So yeah, and then has a graveyard effect. You can banish the light and dark, special summon it, and then banish it if it leaves the field. But even if it gets banished, you can just bring it back with Assault Synchron, or put it back with regained. So it just has a lot of synergy with the deck. These guys, of course, are still playing. Zombie Vampire is kind of another Chaos Ruler, but the ability to special summon one of your opponent's monsters or your own to your field is pretty cool. You can get like an opponent's Fenrir, or just anything powerful from their graveyard or yours. Summoning back Assault Synchron is pretty cool too. This version didn't really have any room for Sprite Elf, or IP, so I'm just like Crush Sheep and Appaloosa. Usually you have enough bodies to make Appo in this deck too. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get into the replays. I'll show you a couple replays with the standard build and then one with the Bestial build. Okay, so for the first replay, we have a going first with the standard Kashtira Scareclaw Mannadium deck. So not the Bestial version. So let's just see what an ideal or normal kind of turn 1 looks like. So we have Meek and Reinhardt here. I'm going to start with opening with the Primitive Planet here. So one thing that you need to realize is that people are playing Droll. I mean, obviously I have Called By, but I wanted to save that for Max C. So here, if you get Drolled, if you like normal summon Reinhardt and you get Drolled, it's kind of annoying. But if I get Drolled here on Planet, I can normal summon Meek, and then Reinhardt pop it, and then go into Barone. So sequencing is very important here, so you don't lose to things that you otherwise would. So they don't have Droll, which is good. So here I'm doing Meek is Chainlink 1. Obviously this depends on the situation, but I literally lost a game at a regional because I did Meek as Chainlink 2, so usually I prioritize resolving Meek, so I'll do that as Chainlink 1 here. Because like I got ashed on Meek, I didn't expect my opponent to do that, and so I had ended on like nothing. I just ended on Reinhardt, which was bad, so be careful. Okay, so yeah, Obsidian. Now we go Meek. Looks like the opponent doesn't have anything, but they might have Nib. So I'm gonna make Excel here. I'm gonna make Lightheart and get the second field spell. This is very important for follow-up. If you're able to get the second field spell on your first turn, you should. So I'm gonna use Excel's effect. That's because I want to go into Dispater here, because it helps you combo more. You could also just go straight for Barone and you don't need to use Excel's effect, but I'm doing that to force out Nibiru. And if he does have it and he holds it for later, then at least my Dispater will be unaffected by it. So yeah, so this way of doing it, it's kind of worse than the hand traps, but it's higher ceiling. So I'm going to use Obsidian's Graveyard Effect to summon Vsauce from hand. And we go for Cross Sheep, and now we go for Astrolab. This is why it's so important. He banished those two, and now Cross Sheep will revive back Meek. Now you can either go for a Synchro 10, but you can also just make Elf, because that's legal in this game. With the Meek, bring that back, and then you can make Burn. Okay, so then Dispater revive the Vsauce. I'm going to try to go for Chaos Angel or Cheng Ying. They use Retaliating Sea for some reason. I don't know why they by playing that. Well, I guess I know why they're playing it, but kind of for Pearly. But it's really bad against me, against this deck. But yeah, they scoop there, but you can just make IP if you use your link arrows correctly, or you can make Chaos Angel or Cheng Ying, and that's a pretty powerful end board. This next replay is also with the standard version of the deck, and it's against Vanquish Soul. It's going to be a bit of a back and forth game to see what it looks like when things go past, so like first turn. My hand is trash here, so I'm actually glad that he just wasted his Maxi and draw face because I can't do anything anyways. So I just set Meek and pass. I have Maxi and mine resolves luckily. Okay, so I get a draw for Fenrir, and he searches. Then he goes Stake Your Soul, revealing Rise Heart, which will get him into Raisin, so I'm going to Ash this. Luckily he doesn't have Raisin already, but he has Mad Love, which does get him the Trap, which can get out of hand. So I'm going to use Meek and make it level 4. Mad Love cannot get over it because it has pretty high defense for whatever reason. So now he's going to add back. My hand is still awful, by the way, even after all those draws. Okay, I'll get Right Phobia, which is better than nothing. He flips Tikiboo. The Tikiboo is pretty weak against this deck, because like you have like Meek, which is a fairy. You have you have warriors. You also have Fenrir, which is a psychic. So you do have like a decent amount of different types. So usually this doesn't hurt too bad, but since my hand is awful, this kind of does hurt in this case. So I go Reichheart. And he's going to Fenrir this. I have to let that go because I need talents to get into an actual playable hand. That's horrible, but at least I get Obsession. So better than nothing. So then we go into Peaceful Planet. I know he has the trap, so if he has all 3 attributes, then he can just wipe my field at any point. So I need to be careful about that. By the way, check out my Vanquish Soul tutorial from last season. It's a very fun deck. So I attack, and then I go into a rival. And then now he uses Snow Devil. Earth, Dark, or sorry, Fire, Dark, and Earth. He does have all 3 attributes, so that nukes the field. But I'm gonna Max so he doesn't summon Mad Love, or I'll get a draw if he does. I don't really see the point of holding it. And that's fine. I choose not to trigger Meek here, because, well, sorry, I choose not to use Planet. I did go through all 3 Meeks, so Planet could revive Meek or Vsauce, but I want to summon Fenrir because he's just a little better right now. So I've already gone through my battle phase, so I just special Fenrir in defense, and he's going to outmine with his. Okay. Goes Mad Love again. I'm not going to bother drawing this because I know he doesn't have Reason, otherwise he would have summoned it already. So I'm going to hold the draw until it gets more value. So I'm going to go Right Phobia. He ashes that. And come on. Come on. Okay, so now he's going to Dust Devil this, which is actually very good for me. So as you'll see, there are now 3 monsters in defense position after I use a rival. And now I can Right Phobia pop the Tikiboo, which allows me to play. I'm going to normal summon Reichheart, no effect. Baron. Now we're off to the races. Then we go Astrolabe. Pop Fenrir. Yeah, so this field feels very clutch. Very clutch. This is a little short of game, but I have an Omni Negate. He's on. I think I know his last card in hand is Rise Heart. So whatever he draws is going to get negated. And GG. Okay, now you get to watch me absolutely cook with the Bestial version. This match is pretty wild, actually. For how I played it going second. I think I was playing against Novels, which I don't really know what these cards do, but it is a ritual deck, kind of. And they just like summon a lot on your turn, and they destroy, or they tribute your monsters that are in attack position, something like that. So I was just careful about what I summoned in attack position. So I'm gonna let him go through his combo. My hand is pretty solid, so as you can see, I have Assault Synchron, which is very good to have in matchups where your opponent has like spot removal. He's just a free special summon from the hand. So I have Planet, I have Talents, I have Red Card. This is pretty darn good. But he does have, I guess, he has a counter trap as well. I think this is the full Novelle's combo. I don't know. I assume it is. I don't know what else they can do. Okay, so this is going to be tough to break through. He does have quite a few bit of interaction. So I do drop Meek, which is pretty solid. He goes for the counter trap right away on Calarium. So now he's going to do that. Committed to my normal summon, but I'm searching Reborn anyways, so I don't think it's the best time to remove a monster. I can special summon Meek. Now if anything does happen to Lightheart like that, at least I'll have Meek on field. But that does let him tribute stuff that is in defense position. This one. Okay, so now I'm going to summon my card in defense. Now he gets to search another Novelle's card. Okay, sure. Vsauce. Now I can pop since there are 3 or more monsters in defense position. That was going to be an interruption, so it's a good thing I got rid of it. Now we go XL. I have to basically play into him. If he has it, he has it. But yeah, we go for Chaos Angel now, which is pretty darn good, going seconds. I'm going to chain XL here, so now neither of my monsters are affected by his dude. And since I tributed to activate XL Synchro's effect, I can use Assault Synchron's Graveyard effect to bring back XL. Then I can use Spader to bring back the Assault Synchron. And then you can go into Astrolaud, Crush Sheet, bring back. Yeah, you can see how hard this deck goes off, this version of the deck. Pop, and that's just game. GG. Played through quite a few interruptions, but came out on top.